GeicoDealers.com.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and your NPR station. From Geico, offering the Geico mobile app. The Geico mobile app stores ID cards, enables bill pay, and submits policy updates and claim reports directly from a user's cell phone. Learn more at Geico.com. And Home Advisor, matching homeowners with home improvement professionals for a variety of home projects, from minor repairs to major remodels. Homeowners can read reviews of local pros and book appointments online at HomeAdvisor.com.
From NPR, WBUR, I'm Robin Young. It's Here and Now. And now a stat you may already know, in fact it may be about you. According to the American Public Transportation Association, Americans are taking more rides on trains and buses. 11 million more rides in the second quarter of 2019 compared to last year. Concerns the environment. Here Now transportation analyst is testing. So what's the answer? Why?
Yeah, proliferation of those things. Rideshare Uber and Lyft have become prevalent in recent years, and to some degree, although it's debatable exactly to what degree, have probably taken some rides away from public transit. So it could just be that they've sort of picked the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, and now it's all stabilizing. But yeah, the important thing here, Robin, is that increase is actually the first increase for a quarter compared to the same period a year earlier since way back in early 2016. Ridership still down from where it was several years back, but finally an uptick after several years of decline.
Well, some cities saw really dramatic jumps. Commuter rail numbers up nearly 85% in Orlando, Florida, 30% in Denver. What's going on?
In those cases, you had either an extension of a line or a new line. Hard to get increases like those just organically. So those are real numbers, but they do have a little bit of an asterisk there. If anything, the even more encouraging trend are numbers like, the New York City subway up 2.5%. That might not sound like a lot, but a year earlier, their figures were down 3.5%. Or even Atlanta, Robin, up 0.1%. Sounds like a waste of time to even talk about that, right? But that system had been down fully 7% a year earlier. So encouraging in terms of the trends. We'll have to see here in coming quarters if that was just a blip or, finally a bottoming out of what has been a bad trend for several years.
Well, it's interesting you say there's been some expansion because, as we've discussed before, there's also been a national push by the group Americans for Prosperity, funded by Charles Koch and his late brother David, to fight government investment in public transportation, which seems so short-sighted because we need public transportation to get people out of, cars. But you're saying people are making investments.
Yeah, some cities are doing it. There have been a number of initiatives across the country, some more successful than others. But to some degree, there's no question that when you build it, they come. And when you lay new miles of track or when you add new buses, ridership increases. Folks like the Koch family would say, well, that's a whole lot of money for not too many people. But look, we talked about Uber and Lyft. I mean, they're subsidized too, billions of dollars in subsidies, essentially by their investors looking tolerating losses. So we'll see as there's investor pressure on those companies to stop just growing and start to be profitable. If they have high rates, they're probably be good enough for that.
Lexington, New Jersey was going to a big meeting in Orlando when Frontier Airlines canceled their flight out of Philly. And the kids got on and started tweeting. Delta saw the tweets and sent a private plane to pick them up and take them there. If this was a publicity stunt, if that's the content on it, and the prospects we have. Is this common? Does this happen?
Delta did something similar a few months ago. There was a group of kids going from Oklahoma City to Richmond. In that case, it was an American flight that canceled. I asked them today if they have somebody like Rocky for this, and they said, no, that's just... And they're like,
We are.
And that's just who we are. Really some combinations out to us.
Good people. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Gordon Sondland has an important job.
President Trump has not only honored me with the job of being the U.S. ambassador to the EU, he's also given me other special assignments.
Now, one of those assignments has him at the center of the House impeachment inquiry. The look at his past has shaped him.
How much interested in his own reputation.
And what his testimony could mean for President Trump. On the next Morning Edition from NPR News. Morning edition comes your way from 5 to 9, weekday mornings on WHYY.
I'm Jack Lepiars. General Motors has reached a deal with striking members of the United Auto Workers Union. Terms of a 4-year contract haven't been released, and workers will not immediately be returning to the deal. They're expected to picket for at least 2 more days while the deal goes up for a vote. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he remains optimistic with America on Brexit negotiations. Johnson tells lawmakers he is nearing the top of the proverbial mountain that a good deal is European Union leaders tomorrow. Right now, the number of students eligible for free school lunches by 500,000. The Department of Agriculture conducted an analysis to find that most of those students would still qualify for reduced prices on school lunches. About 40,000, though, would have to pay the full price. You're listening to Here and Now.
This is WHYY at 1:31. Philadelphia, we've got rain, temperature steady at 65. Supporting WHYY, the Museum of the American Revolution. The most accurate picture of the Battle of Germantown was painted by an Italian who never set foot in America. So how did he get the details so right? At the Museum of the American Revolution, they not only found the answer, but a fascinating story. Cost of Revolution, the life and death of an Irish soldier. Tickets at nredmuseum.org. The Museum of the American Revolution. You don't know the half of it. Supporting WHYY, the Haverford School, presenting its Best for Boys speaker series with John Urschel, Monday, October 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. in Gall Auditorium. The author of Mind and Matter, A Life in Mathematics and Football, will discuss his time as a professional football player and journey to becoming a mathematician. Urschel is a former offensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens and has won several awards. RSVP at haverford.org/bestforboys. Funding for Here and Now comes from the Museum of Science in Boston, providing pre-K through grade 12 engineering curricula, from We Engineer to Engineering the Future, with teacher guides, storybooks, kits, and videos, all designed to fuel dynamic STEM education. More at MOS.org. And Landmark College, serving students who learn differently with faculty specializing in LD support, associate and bachelor's degrees, a bridge experience for students transitioning to college, online programs, and training for educators. More at ldbridge.org. It's Here and Now. There was an article this month in the nonprofit news site The Trace, in collaboration with GQ, that caught our attention. It was about that horrific mass shooting at the 2017 Route 91 Music Festival in Las Vegas and the impact it has had on coroners. In Clark County, the coroner there had to work around the clock to identify and declare the cause of death for the 58 people who were killed that day back in 2017, including the shooter. As you can imagine, it has taken a significant mental and physical toll in what is considered one of the deadliest mass shootings in modern American history. John Putenberg is head coroner for Clark County, and he's been a driving force behind a new effort to make sure coroners receive the help they need after tragedies like this. And John, welcome.
Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate it.
When we hear about coroners, it's often in direct relation to a tragedy, an investigation, perhaps onto how someone died or under violent or suspicious circumstances. This is really the work that you do. You all are often called experts in death. But what happened here? How does an office like yours even begin to take on such a number?
Well, it's overwhelming to say the least. I mean, we've been very fortunate here in Clark County. We've always had it as an office priority to do a lot of training and exercising, and we've got some support over the years, some federal grant money and different support from different areas in preparing. So I don't want to tell you that we were prepared, because I don't think any coroner medical examiner's office can be prepared for something like this, but we at least had a foundation of training and had an idea of what we would do, so that helped a lot.
One of the things that you all had to do was notify families of the deceased. There was actually 4,000 people who passed through this family assistance center that you and your staff set up for relatives and survivors after the shooting. In this case, it's a major undertaking. You all spent hours and hours there. How did your office do that?
Well, we have had in our local plans have our agency be the primary agency that handles the Family Assistance Center for probably over a decade. And the one thing that we realized very quickly is that's not a good idea, because we're so overwhelmed by just the recovery of the decedents and performing the postmortem examination on the decedents, and then again notifying their next of kin once we have them identified, that it just wasn't a good idea. So we were very fortunate where our Clark County Office of Emergency Management, which is under our Clark County Fire Department, came in and really helped us through it and provided a huge amount of support. So we couldn't have done it without their help. Fortunately, that went pretty well, all things considered.
I'm just thinking about this. This is the job that you do, but you're also human beings. Before the shooting, you developed a survey for your staff in order to understand the psychological impacts of this work. What did you learn from that survey?
Well, the idea was we have, and I want to make it clear, it wasn't me. It was I contributed to it, but there were a lot of people that were involved in just trying to figure out what we could do for our staff. The survey was really designed to talk about. This was pre-October 1, so this was something that it's not a secret that. Right, it was before the shooting, and it was something that. It's no secret that our staff, they see things that police and fire aren't even exposed to on a regular basis, and you can imagine what police and fire see. So our staff are responding to 2 or 3 tragic, unexpected deaths every single shift. So to think that we shouldn't have some sort of wellness efforts already in place, and so the survey was designed just to ask the staff what types of calls that they find difficult and what types of services would match those types of calls. So we found what we thought we would find, and that was that they didn't want it to be mandatory, and we found what a lot of agencies have found, that the peer-to-peer support is really the most beneficial type of support. They don't want to sit down with a manager after they handle this call, because that's intimidating and that can add a level of stress in and of itself. So that's what the survey was designed to find out.
You also, after the shooting, realized that people needed help, that